Hey everybody, welcome back to another Farm Fact Friday. Hope you've had a great week. Well, winter certainly continues here in Northwest Ohio. It's been snowy and cold. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about something else that farmers might be doing in the winter while they still can't do much of anything outside, as well as circle back to this idea of agribusiness careers. So let's first start by thinking of careers that require education, require training, require continuing education. And when you hear those words, you may think of your teachers. You may think of a nurse or a doctor, maybe even your insurance agent. So the importance of trainings and certifications and continuing education is that we stay abreast new things that are going on and making sure that our knowledge does not slump off year after year, because we know that things change, right? So believe it or not, farmers are also part of this. They also have to go through training. They need certain continuing education to make sure that they know exactly what's going on in the industry. Now, maybe not all farmers do this, but there are some that do. And one specifically that I would like to talk about is my husband. He's currently going through pesticide application certification. Now, that combined with the fact that the local extension agent, Ed Lentz, just had an article in the paper related to these certifications and how they've made it happen during a pandemic. So that's what I would like to focus on today. And I'll just share briefly some of the agribusiness careers that you may not have thought about. So overall, like I mentioned, trainings and continuing education, they help to give us knowledge. They help to give us the tools that we need. And specifically, the one I'm going to talk about today, which is relevant in our household, on our family farm, is the pesticide application certification. So this just makes sure that things are done properly. There are certain pesticides, a restricted number of them, that can be applied by farmers who are certified to do so. And you may be wondering, like, who creates these regulations and how do they know that farmers are doing this correctly? Well, the US EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, they make sure they create these regulations. They say this is how it has to be done. Well, then the Ohio Department of Agriculture is then tasked with making sure that those regulations are enforced and that there's an implementation plan for it to happen. Then the Ohio State University Extension offices get involved to make sure that those entities, so the farmers specifically, have what they need to be able to pass these tests so that they can pass it on then to the ODA that says, yep, this farmer can do it. They passed a test. They have the knowledge to make sure that it's done. And then the ODA can say to the EPA, it was done correctly. They have, or at least they have the knowledge to be able to do this. So currently, Eric has the workbooks that he's going through, student workbooks to get the knowledge that's necessary. And you may be thinking, okay, what's involved in a pesticide certification? Well, there's two parts. One part is the core, and the core goes over general use, general safety, general regulations for all of the pesticides that can be applied. So that's one section. And then the other section has to be one of the other 7 categories. So for instance, Eric is going through the grain and cereal crops, but there are also others. So if someone runs a market, like a fruit and vegetable market or a stand, there is a category for fruit and vegetable crops. If someone's running a Christmas tree farm, there is a category for nursery and forest crops. If someone is just in the fumigation area, there is a category for that. So the certification is core and also one of the other categories. And you have to pass both tests to be able to apply that pesticide. And then to be able to keep up on this and continuing to do it, you have to get recertified every 3 years. And that continuing education looks like 1 hour of core, and then the other 2 additional hours have to be in at least one of the other categories. Now, again, how do you get this all accomplished? Well, thanks to the local extension agents and their programs, they make this possible. And it is county to county, so what a farmer in Hancock County studies may be slightly different than what, in terms of continuing education, may be slightly different than what Seneca County or Wood County has to offer. So thankfully we have, those resources available to us. And as I mentioned, Ed Lentz is, a driving force in that for Hancock County. So like everything else, the pandemic has made this very challenging to make sure that certifications can be done on time. Some slight modifications have been made, and where there's a will, there's a way. So, making these type of things available online, changing deadlines slightly, but just making sure that people have what they need to get the certifications done so that pesticides are applied properly and safely, so that our environment and the people in the community are protected from what we do in farming. So if you see those type of applications happening by local farmers as we get to that time in the spring, know that they are educated and they are trained to do so. And as stewards of the land and our community, we make sure that everyone's safety is of utmost importance. So with that, have a great rest of your Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll check you back next week for another Farm Fact Friday. Take care.